We have a Bafta nominee to discuss.
We do.
Which one would this be that we have to take now, because he's a very important man, and in fact he's just been called back to the set, so if we don't do it now we're going to lose him?
We have to do Sir Paul Lord Greengrass, who's up there for the Bourne Ultimatum. 6 nods for the Bourne Ultimatum: Best British Film, Best Director, Best Cinematography, Editing, Sound and Special Visual Effects, and I believe he is there now.
Lord Greengrass, good afternoon.
I heard all of that.
Good.
Yes, well, His Lordship here.
And where are you?
I'm actually in southern Spain, and it's a very sunny day, and it's really very, very nice out here.
Yeah, same here, actually. It's really nice here and really warm. Well, listen, congratulations on these an extraordinary raft of nominations coming in here.
Well, it's very nice. It was very nice to hear, and we've been very blessed. No, very nice indeed, and it's great to see, all the kind of people who really make the films, like Oliver, who did the cinematography, and Chris Rouse, and Peter Chang did our visual effects, and Kirk Francis, did all our sound. Sound's really, really important on a Bourne, well, on any movie, but particularly a Bourne movie. So, it's fantastic when folk like that get recognised,
And you're down now. Intriguingly, you're up for Best British Picture. Is this a British movie?
Surprised me, I must say.
Well, there's a whole section in Waterloo Station that makes it British, doesn't it?
Well, listen, it was a strongly British crew, and it was based out of Pinewood, and I as you know, I always try and make my films in Britain because it's a great place to make movies, and we've got fantastic actors and fantastic behind the camera talent. The infrastructure is very good in Britain now. I think it's. To be fair, Gordon Brown actually has been very, very good, I think, in really setting a competitive, framework for making movies in Britain. I used never rest our laurels. It's a global business, and we have to keep working to keep those conditions good. But that's the reason we could make Bourne Ultimatum in the UK,
I have to say that one of my favourite memories of last year's BAFTAs was, of course, Paul went and won himself a BAFTA, which was fantastic and brilliantly well received. And I have to say, some of us have been banging the gong for Paul Greengrass longer than perhaps other people. Some of us date right back to the original feature film, I seem to remember. And as
you always mention this.
I know, because I was right, and I want everybody to know that I was right years where everybody else was right. And look how fantastically it's rebounded on Paul Greengrass.
Ask a question. He's got to go. We are keeping Matt Damon waiting now.
Okay, fine. So anyway, as he came out of the building, as Paul Greengrass came out there, I rushed up to him. I said, I was so pleased. And then, of course, I realised that I haven't seen Paul Greengrass. He may wonder who on earth I am and thought it was just some mad stalker, but he was gracious.
I knew exactly who you were, Mark.
Yeah, you knew who I was anyway. So I think that was a highlight for Paul, that part of the evening, me rushing up to him.
It was really, really lovely. So listen, Simon, how's Tottenham getting on?
Will you tell your mate Matt that the mighty Spurs are on the march with our
I'm going to go right back, and I'm going to tell him. Probably he will stitch himself up laughing. But
Paul, congratulations again. I know you do have to dash off. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's Paul Greengrass nominated for Best Director. We'll chat with Samantha Morton in just a moment. Just take us through we've mentioned Paul Greengrass and the raft of nominations for.
Yes.
I think that's fair enough. Of nominations for the Bourne Ultimatum. What else grabbing the headlines here?
Well, as you know, Atonement is up for 14, which some people said was a record, but I don't think it was. I think that the most was Gandhi, which got 16. 9 nominations for No Country for Old Men, the new Coen Brothers movie, which is terrific, including a Best Supporting Actress nomination for Kelly MacDonald. Very well deserved. 9 nominations for There Will Be Blood, the new movie by Paul Thomas Anderson, which really does, redefine cinema as what you are sitting there watching it thinking, blimey, this is redefining cinema. And then things like Control, 3 nominations, or perhaps 4, because Sam Riley's up for the Rising Star Newcomer Award. Samantha Morton's up for Best Supporting Actress. I think it's up for Best British Film. Control's a terrific movie. So it's a really good showing.
And here is Samantha Morton waiting patiently throughout our News and Sport bulletin. Hello.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Were you expecting it?
No, not at all. I think we were hoping that it would do well over here, obviously being a British film and being about Ian Curtis and him being known. But no, I think people like Mark championing it as much as he did has helped with that enormously. I think people really listen and they went to see it. And it's, people have voted, so thank you very much.
Well, the interesting thing about the buzz around Control was it all began in Cannes. I mean, because Control was screened in Cannes. I remember people coming out of that screening and just going, that's it. It's the really exciting new British film that everyone's been looking for such a long time. At that point, of course, Anton Corbijn, to some extent an unknown as far as feature film directing is concerned, comes out of rock photography, took many of those kind of iconic NME photographs. But it's such a great portrayal of that relationship between Ian Curtis and his wife. And I think we reviewed it on the Newsnight Review in Cannes, and I think that I was not the only person to say this, that actually Samantha Morton has the tougher role, because it's a very, very hard role to play, much more than just the rock wife. And Samantha, as everybody says, I think you did it brilliantly and gave that film real heart and soul, and also I think really brought the best out of Sam Riley, because until that point Sam Riley hadn't starred in a feature before. I think he was best known as the singer in a band called 10,000 Things, who, with my total lack of knowledge of rock music, I'd never even heard of.
No, I don't think Sam would have expected you to have heard of it, really. It's funny, because thank you for saying that perhaps, my performance helped him, but I think that Anton's whole attitude about directing Sam started quite early on, before shooting. So I think that Sam really can stand on his own 2 feet, and I think we had incredible chemistry, which very rarely happens. I think it can. You watch these movies all the time, and there are these great parts, but you just don't believe the coupling sometimes. And so I think that when you read the book Touching from a Distance, and you look at photographs of Debbie, the fact that Anton wanted to cast me, I was over the moon about it, because ordinarily they would, especially with that kind of film, they perhaps would want somebody kind of very cool, very young, very hip. Do you know what I mean? That would look look a certain way to bring in an audience, a youth audience. But I was thrilled to do it, and I think that and I'd worked with Anton in a music video, and I'd said to him at the end of it, it was like making the best short film of my life, and he he really had to make film. Feature film. He had to go into that format, and he's 50. He was like, I don't think so. And I said, you really, really have to. So when I heard he was making the film, and I knew so much about Joy Division and such a big fan, I just prayed the phone call would come my way, and it did. So all very happy.
Do you do you like award ceremonies, Samantha? Do you naturally sort of come out of your shell, or would you rather be at home with a pie and a fag?
Well, at this. I don't smoke, and I do like pies.
Metaphoric.
You don't smoke either, Simon, so why are you bringing that up? I just don't know.
But I have a little baby. My daughter, Harry, and our daughter was born on the 4th of Jan, little Edie. So I'm a bit kind of stay at home and head all over the place at the moment. But I think we will go to this. I haven't been nominated for a BAFTA before. And I remember a few years ago when In America I was nominated for an Oscar for that, and for Sweet and Lowdown, everyone was like, I can't believe you didn't get a BAFTA nomination. I was like, all right then, maybe they don't like me. I felt a bit like Michael Caine when he used to say that the BAFTAs had ignored him or something, and I thought, is it a class thing? But clearly not. They like me this year, because I got a nomination for Longford and then now a nomination for this. So I'm a very happy lady.
And go on.
I'm just going to say, as somebody who pathologically didn't watch television but did watch Longford, and I thought that performance was absolutely staggering. I mean, a terrifying role to take on, but really brilliantly done. I mean, a really fine piece of work.
In fact, we just love Samantha Morton. Full stop.
We do, but there is one thing that I want to bring up now that she's on the phone, because obviously it's terrific that Control's done as well as it had. But don't you think, Samantha, it would have been a better film had it been about the Comsat Angels? Because obviously they are the band that Joy Division could have been.
Samantha, feel free to ignore that question.
I don't know. I can't comment on that.
I think I'd take that as a yes. You see, that was kind of ambivalent. I'd take that as a yes.
She didn't want to be rude to
you. She knew what I was saying.
Listen, Samantha, congratulations, and I hope it's a splendid evening for you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Samantha Morton nominated as Best Supporting Actress in Control. Let's talk to Ronald Harwood, being nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay for The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. Good afternoon to you, Ronald.
Good afternoon to you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Were you expecting it?
Not at all. I never expect any prizes at all. I just hope the people go and see the movie, really.
Did you even know that had you allowed yourself the luxury of knowing that the nominations were coming out this morning?
I didn't know, I'm ashamed to say, until somebody phoned me and said, you've been nominated, and that was the first I heard of it.
And it's a terrific piece of work because I think, as everybody would agree, it's not a story that one would imagine would naturally adapt itself so well to the screen.
Let me tell you something, Steve. It didn't naturally adapt itself. It was a hell of a struggle in the beginning. Once I got the idea of seeing it from his point of view, shall I just say quickly the story?
Yes, please.
It's about a man, he's a true story. He's called John Dominic Bowlby. He was the editor of Elle magazine. He had a terrific life. He was glamorous. He had lovely women round him, motor cars, money. And at the age of 43, he didn't drink or smoke. He suffered a massive stroke, which left him blinking one eye. And a physiotherapist invented an alphabet, and she'd say it to him, and he'd blink after the appropriate letter to make a word, then a sentence, and he wrote a whole book. And that's the book I adapted, and I started from his point of view. You see it from the man who's had the stroke. It's called locked-in syndrome. It's a terrifying condition, but thank God, very rare.
And I have to tell you, once again, in the danger of being the gusher, I mean, as you know, I said last year, my two favourite films that I saw last year were Diving Bell and the Butterfly and The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, which you notice is notably absent from the awards ceremonies.
I think it's a wonderful movie.
Well, that's because you're a very smart and intelligent guy, unlike apparently the rest of the movie-going public.
You're the first person to say so.
But the thing about Diving Bell and the Butterfly, again, saw it first at Cannes. I remember in the first 5 minutes of the film, you think, this is going to be so tough. It's it's a paralysing worldview, but in fact, what's so wonderful about it is, in the best sense, truly life-affirming. It's brilliantly directed by Julian Schnabel, who I think really pulled something out of the hat for it. But it's an extraordinary piece of work that isn't in any way maudlin or tied down.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I think if you look back at my movies, they're not very sentimental. The Pianist wasn't very sentimental, I don't think, and many of them. But the fact is that I think it is life-enhancing because it's this amazing triumph over something ghastly.
Yes.
And he just emerges as a victor over something that is unimaginably awful.
Ronald, as everyone's aware by now, Hollywood screenwriters are on strike. Do you expect a show of solidarity with them on awards night?
A great show of solidarity. Absolutely. I didn't go to the Golden Globes. I was nominated for that. And I very much hope they have a settlement before the Academy Awards, because that's very important to the movie industry. 100 million people watch the Academy Awards. So let's hope they settle before that. But I'm in the fortunate position because I'm a playwright. And I have a play in rehearsal now called An English Tragedy, which opens at Watford in February. So I've got work to keep me going. But for the majority of people, and it goes right the way through the industry and beyond the industry in California. I mean, florists, dressmakers, hotels, all suffering.
Ronald, appreciate you talking to us. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you so much.
Sum up